I'm gonna show you how to cook and carve this porterhouse steak, also known as a T-bone, because that bone looks like a T and it has a filet and a New York strip. The best of both worlds and a perfect steak to share for two. Let's go. Make sure you pick out a nice steak from your butcher counter with a nice big fat filet and lots of marbling. Marbling means fat. The more fat, the more flavor. First, you gotta season your steak with lots of kosher salt and black pepper. Let it snow over every square inch of that steak. Lots of fresh ground black pepper on both sides. Make sure you get some more salt all over that steak. And then what I want you to do is roll it around. Not just the top, not just the bottom. Make sure you season all the fat as well, because that stuff is the good stuff. A lot of people ask me, when should you season the steak? Season it right before you cook it, because you don't want to withdraw that moisture and dry out the steak. First, get your cast iron pan ripping hot. If you don't have a cast iron pan by now, go buy one. A little bit of olive oil. Once that pan is ripping hot, and I mean smoking, we're just gonna gently lay our T-bone right on down. Most importantly, once you put that steak in the pan, don't touch it. Don't play with your meat, especially in the kitchen. Let it caramelize, let it brown, let it do its thing. After about 5 or 6 minutes, let's check it out. Oh, come on now, get in there. Look at that. If that doesn't get you excited, nothing will, because that's the ultimate way to cook a steak. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Our steak is nice and rare. Now, we're gonna add a few garlic cloves and brown them in the oil. We're gonna add a few sprigs of rosemary and thyme to the pan and infuse that steak with even more flavor. Now we gotta hit it with the magic ingredient, a little bit of butter. Once you add that butter, you gotta turn down that heat. We don't wanna burn that butter, we just wanna brown that butter. Beurre noisette, French term, means nutty. See that? Look at that butter. Nice and frothy. Then we're gonna tilt our pan back and we're just gonna gently spoon that flavored butter all over those herbs and that steak. Listen to that noise. No better way to cook a steak in the entire world. Nothing wrong with the barbecue out back, but this is how you infuse flavor into the steak. Give it the old face test, right? Rare, medium, and well. The more a steak cooks, the more it firms up. I'm feeling pretty good. This is a medium rare plus, exactly the way I like it. We're gonna remove the steak from the pan, leave those garlic and herbs right on top, and most importantly, let it rest. You don't cut into that steak for about 4 or 5 minutes. We need to let that bad boy rest so all those juices evenly be distributed throughout the meat, and we have a juicy steak and not a juicy cutting board. Boom shakalaka! All right, I told you I was gonna show you how to cook and carve the T-bone. Well, the T-bone is cooked. Now it's time to carve it. Let's remove those garlic cloves and set them aside because we're gonna serve them with our steak. We're gonna get rid of these fried herbs. Now it's time to carve our T-bone. Let's stand it upright. We have the filet and we have the strip. We're gonna come down to the left and to the right of that T-bone. You ready? Watch this. Just have your knife go straight along the bone. And there you have a perfect filet mignon. We're gonna do the same thing on the strip side. Coming down that bone. Let that knife do the work. Follow that bone right on down. Carve it right off. Now you have a beautiful New York strip. We are left with this bone. Does this go in the garbage? Hell no! People like to gnaw on the bone, especially me. So we have that pretty T-bone, which people like to gnaw on and makes a great presentation. We're gonna put that right there. Now we're gonna slice into our strip. Cut about 1/2 inch slices, right? On the bias, on a little bit of an angle. And by the way, I'm sorry. I just gotta show this bad boy off a little bit. That's a perfect, well-rested, medium rare steak. Just the way I like it. Same thing with our filet. Your filet is gonna be always a little more cooked than your New York strip, because it's usually a little bit leaner. But let me show you that. That's a nice filet right there. We got our filet ready to go. I'm gonna slide that right onto our pretty cutting board. Just like so. Fan that out, meat out nicely. Same thing with our New York strip. Put it right back into that pocket. show off that beautiful temperature. We're gonna throw in a few of those garlic cloves all over the steak. A couple little rosemary sprigs to make it look pretty. And let's not forget those balsamic glazed cipollini onions. And that's how you cook and carve a T-bone steak, the perfect steak for two.